he comes with his lunch pail, man. He plays D. So I don't have an issue with him having a problem or saying something.
He should have a problem. I mean, again, he legitimately feels that, and he could rightly feel that, like, I'm taking like, if we're talking one possession end of the game, 24 seconds on the clock, I'm taking myself over anybody that you guys just talked about. He could feel that way and be right.
And I don't know the metrics, but Derek White, like, I mean, defensively, I would rather have Anthony Edwards than Derek White, but I don't know. Yeah, I didn't pay too close attention to Derek White as far as on defense this year.
Yeah,
so I don't know.
Who does? I mean,
to tie the loop on the Defensive Player of the Year award, it is really tough for guards to get that award anyhow. I know a couple have won it throughout history.
Yeah.
Marcus Smart being the most recent one. But the reason why bigs always win it is because that is the hardest position to play defense in. It's hard to take nights off protecting the rim because you're constantly put in pick and rolls, constantly. And then also you have to protect the rim, alrighty, guard your man, and then also you have to guard that action that I was talking about before the show, where you have to guard the roll man and you have to guard the guard floater or layup. Like, that is extremely hard.
Yeah. And
then also they count defensive rebounds as a defensive stat. You know what I mean? So that's why bigs always get it versus guards. And this is going towards Anthony Edwards. Throughout the course of the season, it's damn near impossible for a premier guard to play the level of defense it will take to win these awards and be garnered as a defensive player. Yeah. Patrick Beverly, Marcus Smart, those guys could do it because they're primarily playing on one side of the floor. Like, Anthony Edwards is not going to play this level of defense, and he did not.
Right.
Over the course of the regular season. It's too fucking much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's the level of defense he's playing right now. That's what it would take to garner these awards in the regular season.
Yeah.
Like right now is a crazy stat where this past series, any player that Anthony Edwards guarded averaged, was shooting 39% from the floor. Yeah. And that's great. That's bananas. Yeah. But he's not doing that over the course of the regular season.
Well, the demands, I think you're close on this. The demands on the big players are so substantial.
Yeah.
And it comes from a couple things. Like, you can't get roasted in your individual matchup, but to be fair, they're usually not guarding a high touch guy.
No. There's only like 4 or 5 of those in the league, period.
But you also have sort of this collective responsibility to be kind of the read and react and director of the defense, and and kind of cover up all the gaps while simultaneously having an individual responsibility. So you kind of get to you're demanded to do a lot, but in that demand you're showcased more. Like a perimeter defender, really there's only 2 ways to distinguish yourself. One is to be like the 94-foot terror that just gets in somebody's shit every play and makes it difficult to advance the ball or get into anything. And that's an absurd work.
Yes.
And then the other thing is to be, and you spoke about it last week with Bronny, like, to be a true guard in the smaller sizes, it's hard to be the lockdown guy and who just puts a wet blanket on multiple people, like peak young Dennis Rodman might, or Kawhi could in his defensive peak. So it's just the game's not structured for you to shine in that way, because your only pathway would be 95 or 4 feet of terror, or just an elite, like you put the clamps on somebody and they just don't function well. But it is what it is. There's a certain bias to certain awards, and I'm okay with that. I don't. But I mean, but you're saying he was mad that he wasn't even on like the all defensive team period?
Yeah, I know he wasn't on the first team.
Okay.
I know the first team was released. I'm not sure if the second team was released today as well.
Because he could rightly feel snubbed, because they're going to have some guards on that team.
Yeah.
And if he's just saying, I feel I'm the best defensive guard in the league, I could see where he's coming from on that.
Yeah.
I mean, it may not be 100% supported by all the metrics, but I mean, I can see why he would feel that way.
Yeah. Definitely from the premier guards. I mean, he's there.
He was really good against Jamal in Game 7 in the second half. He really put in the work.
He was sensational.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also he has to remember as well though, this is the first year where they took the restrictions off. Like, in the past, it was position by
Oh, okay.
position.
Okay.
It's now positionless. So, for
Oh.
example, and I just thought about it when I'm looking at this list. There's four bigs, and the one small, and it's Bam Adebayo, Anthony Davis, Wemby, Rudy Gobert,
Okay.
and
So
the
yeah.
one non-center is Herb Jones, and he's what 6'8". You know what I mean? Whatever that is, whatever he
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
like he's
Yeah.
a forward. So there are no guards on that first team.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Now
Gotcha.
the second team, so he wasn't on the first or second team, so that's what he's saying.
Okay.
He didn't make it at all. You got Caruso, who is a good defensive guard. Drew Holiday, the guy we just talked about. Jay McDaniels of the Timberwolves. He's been phenomenal.
Who and himself sings the praises of.
Yeah. Jalen Suggs, who has had a phenomenal defensive year, and Derek White.
So that's actually
That's a
kind
surprise.
of perimeter guard oriented. That second team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Most of those
interesting.
guys were.
Yeah. All the bigs made the first team,
Yeah.
and all the guards made the second team.
But I think
It's-
that's relative
that's-
to the
that's-
skew that we were talking
exactly.
about. Yeah.
Exactly. That's crazy how that played out.
Yeah, that is funny though.
Yeah. But yeah, I just wanted to quickly go over that. But yeah, I mean, he does. He comes with his lunch pail, man. He plays D, so I don't have an issue with him having a problem or
No,
saying
he
something.
should have a problem. I mean,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
again, he legitimately feels that, and
Yeah.
he could rightly feel that like I'm taking my like if we're talking one possession end of the game. 24 seconds on the clock. I'm taking myself over anybody that you guys just talked
Yeah.
about. He could feel that way and be right.
And I don't know the metrics, but Derek White, like I mean, defensively, I would rather have Anthony Edwards than Derek White, but I don't know. Yeah, I didn't pay too close attention to Derek White as far as on defense this year.
Yeah,
So
but
I don't know.
Who does? I mean, that's, no, and not just Derek White. I'm like, you're not watching most basketball games.
Oh yeah, anyhow.
Focusing on a singular defensive player's efforts.
Yeah.
And
Unless it's like loud and visible.
Well, or if you just go into a game, like there's games like so you've made comments about players, and then the next time I see that player,
oh yeah.
I kind of focus a little bit more on their individual game. What are they bringing to the table and whatever. But like just if I'm just tuning into a general game, I'm not fixated on one player. I'm more the ebb and flow of the game and that sort of stuff. But if something's to my attention, and that's why the other genius of the Anthony Edwards comment, he can 100% believe it, which is great. And I think he's that type of guy. The other thing that it does is it brings attention to his defense.
Boom.
And so next year,
1,000%.
he's going to go into this with the reputation of, hey, let's focus on his defense.
1,000%.
Maybe he's deserving.
Yeah.
And if he continues on this arc of just being fucking great, he'll be on the first team just because he's great.
1,000%.
Yeah, but I mean,
That's a great point.
But for me, I mean, I still, in the modern era, LeBron in Miami is the best defensive player that ever walked the earth.
It was fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
What he did to Derrick Rose, that's just something I'll never forget.
He made him look like a JV player.
This is something I'll never forget.
Yeah.
Before the injuries, before is
He
Derrick
was
Rose
MVP.
Derrick Rose.
He was MVP Derrick Rose, and he could not function.
He just could not.
And there was still the one with KD in the final.
Yeah.
Where there was a fourth quarter where LeBron started guarding him. He had 0 points against LeBron.
Yeah. Okay.
LeBron went to the bench with a cramp for like 2 offensive possessions. KD scored on both, which is like, yeah, KD's KD. Then LeBron comes back in, shut KD off again.
Yeah.
That shit's incredible.
Prime LeBron.
Yeah.
That's definitely my favorite
But
version.
also I was thinking about, also with the Minnesota being a small market team, when you're in a small market, you don't get looked as much like you would, like if you was playing like in New York or L.A.
Well,
That
that's
could play a
why-
factor.
Well, I think during the season, like, they're not. There wasn't a ton of games on from them.
Yeah.
And then, but that's why now the playoffs are so important.
Yes.
Because now, this type of run, and if it goes further, you set yourself up to be on 20 national games next year. And playing on Christmas and all the big feature events that they're going to have the eyeballs on you. You become one of the league's glamour teams.
And that's why, the whole thing with the Orlando Magic by them making the playoffs was so important because, we knew within the city that they was a good team. But, like, outside, part of Orlando, part of people that barely watch the Magic, when they start watching the playoffs, even with the Cavs and Magic series, they didn't. You watch First Take, Undisputed. They didn't really show anything for real.
Yeah, you're saying because of the small market,
Yes,